We're at Free Lives in Cape Town, South Africa, and we've got angry feet. Has every game that you've published come out of a game jam?
I think so.
I think so, yeah. We're a little bit of a shotgun studio because we never really sat down and been like, okay, well, we plan to like release this IP with these characteristics to hit this target audience. We never do that kind of study. We just literally like want to make something neat, and if people like it, you know, we must be doing something right.
What was the game jam that Anglefoot came out of?
It was actually for the 7-day FPS jam.
Luke and myself and Jason as well just decided to make Anglefoot, I guess, and it was actually very similar to how it is now in a lot of ways.
So I had this dream to make a game where all I wanted was this genre of music. I was in the side.
So it was all driven by the music?
Yeah, and I was like, I love this music, and I just think it'll be really great to kick doors with this. And Robbie was like very keen, and he was sort of figuring out how to make it quite elegant. And then we were looking at Hotline Miami and the like design of the levels, and I liked that it was like pretty flat, which made it very easy to do in a game jam. Because our biggest concern was like, how are we going to build these levels? We take like all the things that make Hotline Miami really, really addictive. The biggest challenge with like bringing it into a 3D space was in Hotline Miami, you know what's behind a door, but in Anglefoot you don't. So we needed some way of like encouraging you into the room. So I just made like, make sure that the door flies off the hinges, hits a guy on the other side. That's your invitation, like you're fine, go in there. I mean, sort of ashamedly now, the original project file was called Hotline Amsterdam, and it was and it was literally supposed to be like kind of just like see if we could
Dennis and John.
No, we took it out of the hand, but it was like,
well, you didn't make Hotline Miami 3, did you? Eh?
Yeah.
You've been asked.
A lot of people think it's Hotline Miami inspired, and it is a little bit, but the initial inspiration was actually SWAT 4. Luke and I have both played it a lot, like co-op, and we're SWAT 4 fans. There are these moments where there are these like door breaches where you look underneath the door with like a tiny camera and you see like, okay, there's one bad guy there, there's one bad guy there, and then you plan out this whole plan, and then you blow down the door and you like take out the bad guys in like 3 seconds, and then it feels like amazing. And that was kind of the original thing we wanted to capture.
We've sort of resisted the temptation to go, oh, let's make like everything kicking, let's do everything with feet. I mean, from a humorous point of view, we like that. There's that scene in our Steam demo of feeding your girlfriend popcorn with your feet and sort of drinking wine and stuff, which I still love.
I love it.
It's a bit special.
Well, in terms of the design and the music in Anglefoot, the way it works is you kick in the door, the music heightens, it gets super stressful, chaotic. As soon as you kill the last enemy in the room, goes back down to subdued tension.
And I love this idea of like, when you're not in combat, like it's not like, and then you'll be able to like breach into the room and suddenly like, this is where the party's at, and every single time you've cleared out a room and linger for too long, that low pass comes back in.
It's basically your own amphetamine-fueled heartbeat, isn't it? As the undercurrent.
But some people play through the game so fast that like they don't even get to the end of like one sequence of music. It's crazy.
That's a shame. Take your time. Listen to Jay's music. Come on.
I just wanted to make something that was like over the top. Luke felt exactly the same. We just wanted like something absurd, and we wanted to make jokes. But we also did want a world.
I just like collected a whole bunch of stuff that I felt like represented what Anglefoot is about. Seedy, Berlin, nightclubs with stickers on the walls. Just like, you know, going to your single friend's house and seeing like crinkled up weed on the table, you know?
And we've all got a best friend like that.
The main character.
Yeah.
With the whole mask and the cigarette thing.
I wanted to just like look mean and dangerous, but also like atypical. So I was just like, he's definitely gonna have a balaclava. I knew that early on. I had him with like his mask was covered and he just had like the one eye and the X patch on his cross. And I was like, this is great. And then we hired an amazing artist. His name is Brockhofer from the States to do like our first promotional poster. And he gave him like this big zombie mouth. And I was like, that's fucking sweet. The Anglefoot's like, obviously he's a murderer and he's a killer and he's a bad guy, but he's also just like, he's like one of us. You know? He's got a mum that
He's got a mum, yeah.
Who makes the best cookies.
Yeah, he's got the best cookies. And he's like, he comes home and he's got like his comfortable girlfriend and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like this contrast.
Why crocodiles?
No good reason.
Good.
Some of the enemy designs are based purely around like weapon ideas. And then some of them are just kind of like silly jokes sometimes, like, oh, we should have a guy who's like several snakes in a trench coat.
Luke is the lead artist on Anglefoot, and he is going to take us into the bowels of Shit City. Is this close to what was in the first demo that you produced?
Yeah, honestly, these levels didn't change much. If they were working, we didn't feel like we had to change them. And I love that no one ever questions why there's a red barrel in the place, and we've sort of taken it to the next level here. Just give you a whole room of them.
Well, I've noticed this, the toilet design is quite special.
If we get any one thing in Angerfoot, we'd like to have the most detailed toilet jokes in video games. The story in Shit City is that there's 4 gangs, and each of them is set to preside over different districts in the city. At the beginning of the game, they sort of like agitate the Angerfoot, and the Angerfoot comes looking for retribution to retrieve his lost pair of sneakers. But in Shit City, importantly, like, everyone does crime. Crime is just the way things are done. The story kind of emerged out of just wanting to kind of create a space where violence, to the extent that you get in Angerfoot, is something that's like still fun and invitational for players. And that's where I think like the art style really did grow organically into this more absurdist space, because you're not like killing people or places or things that you're attached to. You're killing like symbols and like weird abstractions and cutesy characters. It makes it so much more light and fun. In level design, you kind of need like arenas, and then you need passages, and you're using passages to give people like a break between the more complicated spaces of the arena. And we're sort of using story similarly, where you'll go from like very immediately run to the next room and just say like, hey, like in this space you can take a minute or two to just like wander around and look at things and kick things and participate in the environment, where there isn't like a time bar at the top of your screen urging you to go forward. We're looking at Sludge Life quite a lot as an inspiration here, where it's not so much like cutscenes and forcing your camera into a position, it's more just like stuff to interact with. It sort of builds out a bit of the world of Shit City.
Who was the genius who came up with the name Shit City?
I don't know if anyone wants to take that credit.
No, that was me. I was like,
Shit City.
and then we were like, we should probably change it at some point in time. And I was like, it's perfect.
Shit City then, the environments.
I grew up in Johannesburg. Joburg is an amazing city, but it's also like a kind of a crazy disaster, ridden with crime constantly. Yeah, it's very inspired of living in Johannesburg and getting lost in some dodgy streets.
Did you draw on any other media?
I looked at a lot of festival posters, whatever I could get my hands on, and also just like anything that had like multi-art of people like, or sludge people, or just like stuff that was kind of gross. It just felt cool in a way that no one else was really doing at the moment. So I wanted to be a like ugly, pretty game. I wanted to look like a festival poster. I wanted to feel like you're inside of a concert show.
I do just love the joke of the sort of crime-centric universe where everyone's a criminal and like crime is a good thing.
As terrible and as awful as Shit City is, it's a love letter to this town and this place and this terrible genre of music and all of these things.
You love it. You love the music.
I love
Don't
it.
say that.
It's terrible though.
Everyone else keeps telling me it's terrible.
Everyone's like, I don't know why you like this. And then our fans are like, can I have an album?
Yeah. Jay is going to show us his microscopic music creation setup and how he make tracks for Angerfoot.
So this is probably a better example for Angerfoot, because like
Okay.
you can hear I got all these like really aggressive kick drums and basses and snares, and I can adjust.
Angerfoot tracks are all the same speed, right?
Yeah, so all of the music is at 160 BPM. That's kind of like a natural tempo for me now, 160.
Is your heartbeat that fast all the time now?
And then I'll use things like distortion.
I'm feeling angry already.
Cool, nice.
This is the only way I was going to start the day. This is what I needed first thing in the morning. Is this a full Angerfoot track here?
So this is an Angerfoot track that was...
Is this one that I'll recognise from the game? Oh, here we go. Come on, let's see what the Genelex can do. Come on. What's the level of the mechanics that are in play in the game? Is it how deep is it?
Barely.
Just keep kicking shit.
Shallow
It's in the typical way, I feel like, because like the core game has to work on the basic foot.
Yeah.
And we've got like really nice shoes.
There are definitely a lot of classic sneakers and things like.
While still trying to avoid any potential lawsuits.
Well, yeah, actually Devolver's legal department called us out a little bit and said like, hey, you can't use this, you have to
Bit too
change
close.
this part.
There's actually ends up being so much variety between the levels, and that you try a particular shoe, and it's, I would say, less about using the shoe to beat the level and to maximize your strategy, and more just about, hey, this level's really fun because it's got these big spaces and you can dash around it, or this level's got this massive chamber in it, and when I put the floaties on, everything floats around. I have this massive like arena that's all airborne. A lot of them are not really about like your traditional RPG game upgrades or anything like that. They're more just like, hey, this could be really fun to try this.
It is quite a hardcore game in terms of it's quite sort of mechanically demanding, like a lot of reflexes. It's a difficult game. You can't outthink it all the time. But we are also adding in some clever ways to like alleviate that or offer more challenge for the pro gamers out there.
We're in the bowels of Free Lives with Aljon, but I believe you've already received a number of quite spectacular pieces of fan art.
Spectacular is the word. So there's that.
Oh, great.
Put some effort in.
That's pretty cool. Is this actually a cover of a magazine?
I think that was a magazine cover, yeah.
Look at that. Look at those tight buns.
Slightly more sexual.
Yeah. Where are we going?
Oh!
Okay.
Yeah, get the...
Where's he hiding that when he's swinging through the levels? Who programmed the initial enemy dance move?
Oh, yeah, so yeah, I knew you were going to go there. So the dances are the one thing that are not hand animated in the game. They're taken from Mixamo, which is a free repository of motion captured animations.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. But I'll be honest, like for me, when I'm playing, I'm dying a lot, right? But when I'm dying in Anglefoot and they start dancing at the end, I enjoy dying.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't mind dying because I like watching you dance.
It's the most enjoyable taunt that any video game character could give you.
That was one of the things we added relatively early on as well, just kind of like as a joke that like instantly became everyone's like favorite feature.
Looking back and what began from the game jam to what you've got now, how do you feel about it?
It's been a remarkable process. We went in quite like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and now 3 years almost later, it's a huge project now with an enormous amount of content and a lot of our blood, sweat and tears, because there's never been a big team.
There's so many ideas that we'd like to do still. I mean, in a sense, we're only really touching on the story stuff now, so I suspect by the time we've finished it, we're going to have unlocked this whole world that we'd like to sort of explore more.
It's pretty crazy to see how detailed the world is. I feel like the game is still true to like its fun nature of when we jammed it 3 years ago. It's fast-paced, it's like stressful and very satisfying, but it's just so like rich with detail now. Yeah, it's very cool.
I'm very proud of it. It's been such an easy experience, to be honest. It's by far been the smoothest like development.
Aren't you supposed to sweat blood with these things?
Yeah, it's been hard work, and by the time it comes out, it'll be 3.5 years, so be ready to move on. But I think we really focused on like making something that was fun to make every day, and I think that like comes through in the jokes and the feel of the game. I think people are going to play it and be like, oh, the developers had fun making this.
Fuck you for playing Anglefoot.